What Matters. I'm your host, Lady D. On today's show, we are going to talk about my health journey. In today's topic, we are going to talk about my health journey with dermatomyositis, rheumatoid arthritis, and fibromyalgia, all while being pregnant. So in 2015, I became pregnant in the beginning of the year, all while having all three of those diseases. So this was 2 years into my diagnosis, and me and my husband were not trying to have another baby. We're not trying to expand our family. We had already had three children. Doctors had advised us, my rheumatoid arthritis doctor had advised us not to have children because I was on rituximab at the time, which is a chemotherapy infusion drug used to treat rheumatoid arthritis in severe cases, such as mine. So my case was really severe, and injectables were the only drugs that worked. And so my first trimester, I found out I was pregnant at about 12 weeks. So just about 3 months pregnant. And I was still taking Rituxan up to that point because I didn't know I was pregnant. So I consulted my rheumatologist, and we talked about my options of medicine if I was going to continue with the pregnancy. She did inform me that, there would be some complications possibly if I continued taking Rituxan, methotrexate, as well as some other steroids. And with her guidance, we decided to continue to take the Rituxan because it was working so well to control my symptoms for the rheumatoid arthritis. And I believe that me being transparent with her and letting her know that my husband and I at the time were not trying to expand our family but did want to continue on with the pregnancy the best of our ability and make this a viable pregnancy. And so about 4 months in, we let our children know that we was expecting a baby. And everybody was really surprised and, hoping for the best. But we kept this secret just amongst ourselves and our children. We did not want to discuss this thing prematurely with our church congregation and with our leaders and with our extended family just yet because we were just going off the information that we was giving from my rheumatologist and processing that and digesting that amongst ourselves and our children. And after a few visits with the rheumatologist and having some time to be able to look over the information and to have an honest conversation as a couple, what we wanted to do just in case this was not a viable pregnancy. In no shape or form did I want to lose a child under any circumstances, but I knew after proper consultation with my doctor that there was a strong chance that I would lose this pregnancy. And I had to come to terms with that. And I also had to come to terms with it in my faith, knowing that this was a challenge and an opportunity for me to grow in my faith if this child was to be born on this side alive. And so my rheumatologist, one visit, suggested that we go to an internist because my case was so complicated, having the three autoimmune diseases. So I had an OB, an internist, and we went to go see a geneticist down at Women and Infants. They have a genetics program there where they deal with complicated pregnancies and will walk you through some individual things pertaining to your case to help you to make a conscious decision, to help you make sure you want to continue on with your pregnancy. So my first visit to the internist was wonderful. She looked over my case, she looked over my doctor's notes, and really helped me to decide what medicines would be appropriate along with my rheumatologist to come off during the next 6 months up to the 9 month period when I was due to deliver my daughter. And that was really a hard decision because I knew there was going to be withdrawal symptoms. I knew there was going to be maybe some side effects along with withdrawal associated with the pregnancy. So, of course, some moms experience morning sickness. So, on top of morning sickness, I was going through withdrawals from the medication, and that was very, very taxing on my body. I had morning sickness with my daughter up to 6 months, and so that was quite the experience to go through withdrawals and morning sickness. So I was basically sick all the time, always nauseous, um, you know, always running to the bathroom and just really trying to hold things down and stay as healthy as possible, as hydrated as possible to nourish my body and this baby that was inside of me. And it wasn't until I went to the geneticist that things got really real. When we visited the geneticist, she sat down and really gave us the nitty gritty about what could happen because I was still on Rituxan and some other very necessary medications just to keep me at a base level where I could function and take care of my children that were home with me and going to school. So once they came home to school, I need to be as active as possible. I need to participate in homework. I need to make sure, I could cook dinner and just be as active as possible. And so once the geneticist really sat down and talked to us during that visit and really said, there could be some serious complications because you are still on heavy doses of steroids and this chemotherapy called Rituxan. And so she said my daughter could be born with a cleft lip, missing limbs. There could be some developmental disabilities. There could be a lot of complications that I was not necessarily prepared for. And so she said also, because I was continuing on with the Rituxan, that, after one of my infusions, my body could decide to abort the baby and it would no longer be a viable pregnancy. And depending on how things went, I could need a DNC to remove the remaining parts of the baby. And so that is something that I really didn't want to go through. And so my husband and I at the time had a conversation right there in the office and really had a heart to heart as a couple that we didn't want to play God. We did not want to abort the baby because there would or possibly be some challenges that this child would face. Our faith was tested right there. And me as a mom of 3 other children, my faith was tested because God blessed me to have 3 healthy children, no complications with my other pregnancy. And so to hear the news that because my health was challenged, that I'm trying to carry this baby and I'm trying to make it viable, but because of my medication, there's a possibility that that might be interrupted, really shook me at my core and in my faith. And so I had to really pray hard, like, Lord, if this is your will, then thy will be done. And I want to encourage anyone who is finding themselves in this particular situation, whether you have chronic illness or not, but you are finding yourself in a complicated pregnancy, your faith will be challenged. Whether you're Christian, whether you're Muslim, whether you're Buddhist, your faith will be challenged. And I will say, going into this, knowing that my health was at risk and knowing that I wanted to continue on with this pregnancy, I wanted to see it through. My faith was strong, but it was like, God, what if this doesn't work? What if I'm doing more harm to my body and this unborn child? And so, to everyone who is in this situation, I want to encourage you to have hope and to be resilient and to know that if it be His will, then He will see you through. And so we left the geneticist's office knowing that we were not going to abort our unborn child, that we would continue to get routine ultrasounds once a month to make sure we were, in a good spot in the pregnancy, to make sure she was growing on schedule, to make sure my weight was okay, to make sure, body parts were developing with her. And so these monthly ultrasounds were really vital and critical to make sure that she was on target and everything surrounding her was growing normally and well. And so I left the geneticist's office feeling like, okay, God, my baby needs you. I need you. My kids need you. My family needs you. And so it wasn't maybe until I was about 6 months that we let our congregation know and our family know that we was expecting a baby. And by then I had a little bump and could not hide it. So it was one of those things like, it's here, it's happening. So let's inform everybody. And everybody was truly excited and prayerful. And it was the prayers of my congregation and my family that really kept me going when my faith was low. Like, oh my goodness, what's going to happen to this little person that's growing inside of me? And I remember for the first 5 or 6 months, I anointed my belly and I prayed over her and I read scriptures to her and I played music. And every day I woke up for the first 6 months, I always woke up and said, God, I thank you for my unborn baby who's still here with me. God, I pray that you would continue to keep her this day. And I would, lay my hands on my belly and say amen, because I knew every day was a gift. And so up to 6 months, I did that every day faithfully until I found out her gender, and I found out she was a girl. And I was super excited to have another little girl. I have an older daughter, so she was excited to have a sister, and my boys were excited. And so this was a great time, about 6 months, but this was also a scary time because this was a little beyond the halfway point, but I still had 3 more months to go. But I was like, okay, Lord, we're in the home stretch now. If we can make it the full 9 months, then this baby has a fighting chance. And it was definitely the help of great doctors. I wanted to continue to encourage people. I know healthcare is scary. I know that in the African American community, trusting doctors can be scary. And sometimes if you don't know where to go, it could be even more scary. And so if you are someone with chronic illness and you are pregnant, or you know someone who is suffering with chronic illness and is pregnant and is not sure if they can trust doctors, if they can, trust the healthcare system, if they're going to get adequate healthcare, if they're going to be treated equally as other people, I want you to share this video with them and help them. Be their advocate. Go to doctor's visits with them. Ask questions that they might not be thinking, and take notes if they, need help before a visit, to help them be at peace, to be calm, to just know that doctors are there to help them. And it's because I had a good team that my 7th month, my 8th month, my 9th month, we prepared for my daughter's arrival. So the last 3 months of my pregnancy, my rheumatologist, my internist, and my PCP, my OB were all on board. They worked together to form a plan of what are we going to do once this baby is delivered. We had a plan of if I went into a flare, We had a plan also with the delivering doctor, what medicines I would take immediately after delivery to try to prolong a flare. And I believe that helped me tremendously to calm my nerves, to focus on delivering a healthy baby, to focus on, my aftercare as a mom, because as we know, delivering a baby under normal circumstances, being a healthy woman, is scary. So flip that, have 3 autoimmune diseases that are fighting against your immune system. You're on steroids. There's a lot. There's a lot that goes into it. So I'm very grateful that my team was prepared not only to take care of me, but to take care of my baby. And everybody was on board and listened to my concerns. I had a lot of concerns. One of my concerns was my daughter going to be born with RA, rheumatoid arthritis? Now, there is no guarantee that just because a mom has rheumatoid arthritis, it will be passed down to their unborn child. That was one of my greatest concerns. The other concern was she going to be born with deformities or other challenges? And none of my doctors could give me a 100% no, she will not. And they advised me that, they would follow up, once she was delivered, and they would run tests and just to make sure at delivery, at birth, she was okay. And so that reassured me, knowing that, even if there was something that was going to come up, they were prepared. And so month 7th, month 8th, month 9, I was excited. We had a baby shower. Things were great. I felt really good during my pregnancy. Some women who are pregnant with autoimmune diseases have a chance of going into a flare, meaning their symptoms get worse, or some women, like myself, get better. So my pregnancy was a blessing in disguise. A lot of my symptoms were lessened. My joint pain was lessened. The fatigue was there only because, like I said, I was pregnant, and fatigue is one of the greatest symptoms I experienced with fibromyalgia. Fatigue has been there for the past 7 years, and I still deal with fatigue, but fatigue was one of them. But some of the other issues that I faced, dizziness, lightheadedness, my back burning. I had this burning sensation on my back that resonated from my shoulders on down to my hips, through my arms. I had this burning sensation. It almost felt like the worst sunburn ever, where my husband couldn't hug me at the time. My kids couldn't hug me. Just close touching me irritated my skin. Taking a shower irritated. Any type of sensation touching my skin burned. But during the pregnancy, that dwindled down to almost nothing, which I was so grateful for. Pre-pregnancy, I broke out in these butterfly rashes on my face, all over my body. So I would have to cover up with ponchos or some type of shawl, wear long sleeves during the warmer weather. And I really had to stay out of the sun. I had to apply sunscreen. I had to make sure my skin was protected pre-pregnancy. So to not have to go through those things while I was pregnant was just blissful. Like, I was like, oh my gosh, I can enjoy the sun and just, be careful, but really not have to go through the pain because I was pregnant. I don't know what switched in my hormones, but I was so grateful that, I was able on some level to enjoy my body and some type of normalcy that I did not experience before. And there are women that unfortunately are on the other side where their symptoms get worse, but there's no rhyme or reason why some people get worse or why some people get better. It just happens. And so I would say, consult your doctor, journal, write down how you're feeling each day, write down the changes, write down the things that you are experiencing during your pregnancy, that are different pre-pregnancy. During my pregnancy, this was like the best my body had been in 2 years, and so I was grateful. And fast forward, once I delivered her, she came out healthy. She came out 6 pounds, 5 ounces, and just glowing and, just wonderful. And the only drawback and the only side effect my daughter experienced was withdrawal symptoms from the medication I was on for pain management. So she had to go on some medication herself just to get the pain medicine out of her system. And she was monitored for 7 days before I brought her home. And she didn't go into any seizures that they, thought she might go into because she was, going through withdrawal symptoms from the pain medication. They thought she might have to go on Depakote or phenobarbital or something to, she did go into a seizure. And I was really scared of that. And I didn't want that to happen to my baby. But God blessed her and touched her little body. And she came out this bundle of joy, ready to tackle on the world. And as for me, I did not go into a flare immediately, which was one of my concerns. But about 3 months after birth, I went into a small flare. But my symptoms were not as bad as they were before pre-pregnancy. And so I knew that God had really touched my body through this pregnancy, and it was a miracle. It really was a miracle that me and my daughter were able to be healthy, to be strong. I was able to enjoy her. Once she came home, my kids was able to enjoy her. My family and our congregation was able to love on her and to love on me. And this was a wonderful experience. It was a wonderful time. It was not what I thought it was going to be. And I ended up naming my daughter Carmela Grace after my wonderful rheumatologist, Dr. Carmela Chan. I thought it was so fitting to name her after my doctor because my doctor saved my life. I believe that she was my angel sent here on earth to save my life. And so I named my daughter Carmela Grace. I named her Grace because grace is God's unmerited favor that we get because he desires to give it to us. Not because we earned it, not because we've done something so wonderful, but it is because the grace of God that he blessed me to have this pregnancy and to see me through it and to see my daughter through it. And it is through the grace of God that my symptoms got better. And I'm a firm believer today that my daughter, Carmela Grace, is the medicine that I needed, and I didn't even know it. And so God in heaven knew that I needed a miracle because I was in extreme pain. I was in extreme pain, extreme depression, and I did not want to be on medications. I did not want to be a zombie on opioids. I did not want to be a zombie on narcotics. Anybody who's ever been on narcotics know that, you might start out on a small dose, but they only increase. And so I didn't want that. And I believe God heard my earnest prayer and answered it by giving me a baby and saying, okay, I'm going to touch your body and I'm going to use this little miracle baby to set you in motion into healing. And healing requires consistency, and pregnancy requires consistency. It requires love. It requires trust. It requires rest. It requires you to take care of your body. And I believe God trusted me to take care of this little bundle of joy because I wanted to see her live and I wanted to be healthy, to enjoy her. And so, the word says that, Mary was blessed and favored among women, that she was able to carry the Messiah. And so my little Carmela Grace was my little angel, and I was touched with grace to be able to carry her and to nurture her and to find rest in carrying this little bundle of joy for 9 months, and to be pampered and showered and shown love, and to have a community of people surround me and want to see me through this miracle. And it truly was a miracle to be an older woman, to get pregnant, not trying, not wanting to be, just being content with the family I had. And God's like, nope, surprise, I got a surprise for you, Diandra. You're going to have a baby. And this baby has been a blessing to many. She is 5 years old now. She is in pre-K, and she's a bumble of joy. She's a little spitfire. She has a bubbly personality. She's just a little miracle. And she is the thing that catapulted me into healing. I don't know what shifted in my body, but I know what shifted in my spirit. It was praying for her every day for 6 months. It was reading scriptures about healing. That shifted my mindset, that there was another level of healing that I was chasing, that I wanted to see come into fruition. And it was that shift that took place within inside of me, I believe, that helped me to not only activate my own healing through the word, but to walk in it and to manifest it into a little human being called Carmela Grace. And everyone is amazed by her journey and my journey. Those who know us, it is a true testament that if you believe, you will receive. If you ask, he will give it to you. If you knock, the door shall be open. And he is faithful to perform his goodwill towards you. And I want you to know that your healing matters. And if you are on a journey quite like mine, know that your healing matters, and who you have around you during this sensitive time will help cultivate and catapult you into your healing. It will help set you forth in motion to live a better, healthy, stronger life. And I want you to be encouraged. Be encouraged. Know that your healing matters. Know that you are set here on earth with a purpose, and your purpose to be whole, happy, and to live your best life. This has been Lady D. Thank you for tuning in for another episode of Healing Matters. Be blessed. Thanks for watching. Till next time.